It is. So we are going to see a slow clearing process here, very similar to yesterday. And I'll tell you, even tomorrow, a similar setup is expected. So those clouds are thick for most of the area. But as Rondella mentioned, there's a little bit of blue sky trying to break through in Boston at the moment. We're in the upper 60s to now low 70s in spots. And it will be a mild afternoon at the coastline and for Boston as we make our way into the upper 70s today. There is a sea breeze developing, preventing us from crossing into the 80s at the coast, but as you move away from the coastline, 80s in store for us here. As we're up to about 84 in Wellesley this afternoon, we could hit the mid 80s as you travel farther north and west. We have more heat, more humidity, believe it or not, moving in toward our area ahead of this cold front, and this will be a trigger for thunderstorms that could produce some flooding tomorrow evening. Breaking down that timeline, plus our next potential heat wave, just how hot it will feel. Jennifer. There's no sign of rain in our forecast today. Tomorrow's chance of storms could produce flooding in spots. Breaking down that timeline, plus just how hot it will feel as our next heat wave approaches the area. So it's very widespread, and we are seeing several flood warnings within this watch area. That does include the Kerrville area. Guadalupe River in particular does look like it will be going above flood stage, but you can see more of these warnings being issued north of Austin. This is a little closer to where we're seeing some of the heaviest rainfall this morning. I was checking some of the numbers that are coming in from what we're just seeing from this morning, and some of the totals already upwards of 6 inches in spots. So this is a tremendously heavy rainfall that's moving in. And notice the track, although it's very slow, is slowly pushing southward. So that's why ahead of this, the Kerrville area is under a flood warning for that potential for some heavy rainfall moving into, of course, an area that's very prone to flooding after what we saw earlier this week. The cold front that's helping to ignite some of these storms is going to be shifting eastward. And so while we're not talking about flooding potential to what they have out there, we are at a level 1 of 4 for a chance of flooding. And that has been highlighted in areas of western Massachusetts, just barely extending into some inland areas of New Hampshire and through much of Vermont. So we're watching, especially for the evening hours between 4 to about 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. Some of the models suggesting that we could see a widespread ½ inch to 1 inch in these locations north and west of 495, but localized pockets of flooding could lead to over 2 inches of rain in spots. And you can see that being highlighted here with that yellow and orange little area over portions of New Hampshire. 67 degrees right now, and we're just waiting for these clouds to clear out. Very similar to yesterday, where it's gray morning, clouds and fog. The fog has dissipated, but the clouds are still around. So it's not until about 11 that we'll start to see some signs of sun, and then more of that as we travel through the afternoon. Notice the east wind developing for Boston, so that's why our high temperatures are stuck in the 70s for the city and for the rest of our coastline. So a really mild beach day if you're going for that. But inland, we're into the mid 80s this afternoon, feeling the heat, especially through the Connecticut River Valley, where we could get up to about 86 in Orange this afternoon. Clouds and fog return after the sun breaks out this afternoon. So that will set us up for a gray start to our Monday. The sun starts to break out in the afternoon, and by the late afternoon, we're watching storms to our west, getting a little closer to home after 4 p.m. So I would say for the evening, that's the best chance of storms. And notice it's mainly focused north and west of 495. Not talking about severe weather threats. So wind is not a huge concern. It's that downpour potential that could lead to flooding. We have a potential heat wave after we get through the storms on Monday. Tuesday is the start of it, nearing 90 degrees for several days, possibly even into Friday, but it does look like our hottest feeling day will be Thursday as the humidity will reach tropical levels. The heat index gets We're making our way into the upper 70s for Boston. It will be a little bit warmer inland away from the sea breeze, but you can see that sea breeze developing by late this morning for the coastline, including Boston. We're at 71 in Norwood right now. Despite all the clouds in place, things are warming up into the upper 60s elsewhere, into the mid 80s for most of our inland suburbs today away from that sea breeze. But take a look at Marblehead, 72 this afternoon. Really a mild beach day, especially down toward Cape Cod, where we'll see some low 70s this afternoon. Mid 80s for most inland spots, up to about 85 in Orange. Warmth and humidity, that continues to build into tomorrow. And as a cold front nears our area, storm chances develop. Could see some flooding, especially north and west of 495. I'll break down that timeline ahead. The year so far, we're doing just fine. We're right on track. But when you talk about summer in particular, we are actually still behind. So when we break it down to the amount of rainfall we've seen since June 1st, especially in areas west where we didn't see as much rain on Thursday, we are nearly 3.5 inches below normal for summer. And that is why, as you're looking around, you might see some dry grass out there, some dry vegetation. It's all because of that dry start to summer we have seen for many spots. So we're looking ahead to our next rain, and it is moving in tomorrow. Isolated storms that could produce heavy downpours, and the best potential for flooding from these downpours looks to be in areas of western Massachusetts, maybe just clipping portions of Worcester County and then extending into areas of western New Hampshire and Vermont. So this is something that will develop in the evening between 4 to 9 p.m. And our models are certainly picking up on that. East of 495, not looking at much. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Boston and areas of eastern Massachusetts are completely dry all day tomorrow. But that's not the case northwest, where some of the models are suggesting we could see in some isolated pockets of flooding up to 2 inches of rainfall, if not more. So we'll watch that very closely. It's all as this cold front gets a little closer. Keep in mind, this is the same system that's triggering some of that flooding that we're watching in Texas this morning. Heat and humidity build ahead of this front, so you will feel that heading into tomorrow. Right now, we're sitting at 67 with a dew point of 65. It's the kind of humidity that you notice. It feels a little sticky, but it's not that tropical level of humidity that we're tracking for later this week. 12-hour forecast does show these morning clouds giving way to some slivers of sun through the afternoon, so it is going to be a brighter outlook, very similar to yesterday, where it's clouds to sun. Big improvements here for the afternoon. 70s at the coastline with a sea breeze. Inland, away from the sea breeze, will be sitting in the mid-80s this afternoon. Clouds return tonight, and that sets us up for a cloudy start to your Monday. It doesn't last long. The sun starts to break out by the afternoon, and then by the mid-afternoon hours, we'll watch for some storms out west, getting a little closer to home as we move toward the evening. So I would say after 4 p.m., be weather aware in our area as these storms start to shift a little bit farther eastward. Pockets of downpours, that's the main concern. Not as concerned for that wind threat here. It's really that heavy rain and flood potential that is more concerning north and west of 495. After this, we move toward a hot Tuesday. It's the start of what looks to be another heat wave here, potentially lingering even into Friday. And those feel like temperatures approaching 100.
Lindsay, they had a big party at Marina Bay last weekend.
Yes.
This is the weekend. We need good weather to move on in.
And it's moving on in. We saw it yesterday. We're
chilling off, right?
Right.
Sounds pretty good for July. All right, Kellyanne, thank you so much. And thank you for watching this morning. We're back at 10 o'clock. We send you off.
Chilling off, right. Sounds pretty good for July. All right, Kellyanne, thank you so much. And thank you for watching this morning. We're back at 10 o'clock. We send you off.